Hi, this is Kim from Dorothy's Daughter. Stay tuned for 2 stash busting underwear patterns reviewed. Hi, this is Kim from Dorothy's Daughter. Welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for taking part of your day to spend with me. Today I want to talk to you about undies, making your own undies. There's so many reasons why it's a great thing to do. But let's just start off first by welcoming any new subscribers or new people. If this is the first time you've joined my channel, I'd like to let you know that what I do is I try to post at least 2 videos a week, and they are either pattern reviews, tutorials, or simply a fun question and answer session, sometimes on Tuesday afternoons. So that's what we try to do. We're all about sewing and we're all about building each other up. So with that being said, one of the best things you can do for yourself, especially to get rid of those scraps, is to make your own underwear. It takes very little fabric and you'll be so happy when you can spend so little on a pair of great underwear. So let's talk a little bit about why you would want to do that. And for the most part, I think the biggest reason would be fit and comfort. And I have a couple patterns that are my favorites that I'm going to show you today, but there's so many out there, and I'm convinced that there's something out there that you're going to love for your body type. But the biggest reason also is the price. I was checking up on prices because I haven't bought underwear honestly in so long that I was kind of shocked at how much a pair of underwear costs. So today I'm going to show you a shaper panty that I made out of cotton lycra. And now I'm going to show you one just like it over here, and it is $22. And guess how much I paid for that? Well, I had enough left from a t-shirt that I was able to make the pattern with basically just scraps. And this particular pattern that I'm going to show you only takes about 36 inches of 1/4 inch elastic. So you don't have very much into the supplies, and I'm telling you what, those are some great fitting underwear, and it has a shaper panel. So fantastic. Let me show you another one. These are just cotton briefs, real similar to what I used to buy at Victoria's Secret, and they would be on sale, 5 for $32. I couldn't really find them that cheap right now. I found these for $10 for one pair. I'm going to show you a pair that we made from yet another pattern that are almost exactly like that cost little to nothing. I did use some lace on this one and some special elastic, but that isn't really necessary. But the lace isn't even that expensive. So, I mean, as far as cost goes, this is a no-brainer to save money. It really is. And very, very simple. I'm going to show you how simple it is to do it for yourself. So I'm going to talk to you about the fabric that you would use for underwear. I don't know why, but I had this mental block telling me that there was some kind of special fabric I had to buy for underwear. Honestly, you don't. Any knit really will work. You want to stay away from anything that's, got a nap on it or something like that. But for the most part, any of your knit scraps will work. Your cotton jersey blends, cotton jersey, your double brush poly. I particularly love cotton lycra for this project. I will use many times the cotton lycra from Girl Charlee for t-shirts and things. It's kind of my favorite fabric, and they have tons and tons of colors. And so what I will do is maybe order 1/4 yard more, knowing that I want to make a few pair of underwear. And as you can see here, this is just the first page of about 7 of colors, but you can see the prices are $6 a piece, something like that. And honestly, you're going to have maybe $3 into a pair of underwear. So even if you have to pay for the fabric, it's so little that it's still going to save you money. So I like cotton lycra the best for my underwear. And I also like double brush poly. Double brush poly is going to be a little bit on the warm side in the summertime. Just know that because it's polyester. The cotton lycra will breathe with you but still be heavy enough to hold things in. So that's just my favorite, but I mean, you can use anything. You can just use lace if you want to. And makes those special kind of feminine panties. And another reason that I really like to do it is because, you know, you can put little feminine touches on them. And I'm telling you what, if you're having a bad day and you can wear a pair of underwear that makes you feel like a girl, I'm sorry, but it really does improve your frame of mind. Nobody can see it, but you know. Knowing that you're put together and feminine is something that I don't think you can replace as a woman. I know that's not the reason for self-esteem, and it's not going to solve big problems that you have, you know, as far as mental health and stuff. But I do think on a day-to-day basis, feeling feminine has a lot to do with helping you feel good inside and out. I'm going to go ahead and go to a video where I filmed the different patterns and the different elastics that you can use to make panties. So, but first let me tell you a little bit about the patterns that I love. The first one is the Fierce Panties from Patterns for Pirates. I've made a ton of these. It's a great pattern. As a rule, Patterns for Pirates patterns tend to have a curvy woman in mind, and so you're going to have ample room in the trunk and that sort of thing. So it's really going to help you out a lot. So that is a great pattern. It's a simple pattern, takes less fabric than the other one. Kiki from Sinclair is another pattern that I just love, and I'm slowly making it so that's what I make all the time. It does take a little more fabric. It does take a tiny bit more construction, but it's a shaper panty if you need it to be, and it is fabulous. So those two patterns are my favorite as far as underwear goes. The patterns that I like, the elastic and different ways you can finish the waistband and the leg openings. Okay, one of my favorite patterns is the Fierce Undies from Patterns for Pirates. And they have ample room in the back, which is what I like about them. And they're very nice. I do the mid-rise, and this is actually for the elastic. So you need wide elastic for that if you want to finish it that way. And this is more just fabric and elastic. Nothing contoured about it whatsoever. This pattern here that I use is the Kiki pattern from Sinclair. And this has a few options. I like the contoured waistband, so I use that. And this is what that looks like. So it has elastic just in the seam allowance here, and self-bound with leg bands. So there's no elastic here digging in, which is really nice, super comfortable. And these are probably my favorites. Well, let's talk about one thing, just something that you need to understand about undies, and that is that there's a crotch, which I'm sure you know, but there are different ways to do it. And it's actually called a gusset. So you can have a floating gusset like this one, which is the Fierce Undies. And basically what that means is that the floating one means that in the front, this wraps around, and then your lining is sewn on there, and then this just floats. It's not sewn down in the front, which some people really like because there is no panty line. So if you're worried about a panty line in the front, that is what you would want to do, the floating gusset. The Sinclair pattern has both ways. I kind of like the fixed gusset where it's sewn down, because this pattern piece is a lot easier to fit on a scrap than this one. So very much different. You have to think about how you're going to finish the waistband and the leg openings. Okay, so you can do all self on the leg bands if you want to. Super comfortable. And the pattern will tell you how long the leg bands should be. And you can just have no elastic digging in at all. Or you can use a couple different finishes on your waistband. You can use 1-inch elastic. This type is super, super soft against your skin, and this is from Etsy. There are companies on Etsy that just cater to lingerie elastics and stuff. Here's this in another color. I have also fold over elastic, which basically for the waistband you can use it because you can just leave it flat, and I've done that in a lot of them. And I used to buy the Victoria's Secret VS Cotton, which were just simple cotton briefs, and they had a waistband similar to that, so I kind of like that for a waistband. And you can also, of course, use this as a leg opening by folding over the elastic. You can also use stretch lace. So I have some of that, which is beautiful to use. It's a beautiful finish for the Fierce Undies especially. And I have a bunch of different colors of fold over elastic. On the legs, you can of course use fold over elastic. You can use just this regular elastic if you like. You can do the self leg band, or you can do picot trim, which is just small with a little tiny peak coming out, and this is super comfortable elastic. All right, let's go sew some. All right, before we get to some sew along clips, I just want to clarify that where I source my elastics are on Etsy and Amazon. And I do have an Amazon influencer shop, and I'm going to add some of my favorite types of elastic and basically panty supplies to a list there. And I will save it, a link to it in the description below. And I'll also put a couple links to different Etsy shops that I like to source lace from. All right. So first, we're going to go ahead and sew a pair of Fierce Undies. And I have some fabric that was left from PJ bottoms. So you'll see that in a moment. It's kind of bright, but it's like a baby rib knit. So you'll see me put those together first. Okay, so you're going to do the gusset seam in the back, sewing the back to front there at the crotch. All right, so you're going to put the front right side up, the back wrong side up, and the gusset wrong side up. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and clip these together and go over and sew this together. All right, so that seam is sewn. So we have the back and the front together, as you can see, starting to look like underwear. And then the floating gusset is just there. We're going to give that a good press, and then we're going to go to the serger and do the side seams. All right, so I did sew the side seams. So basically I have a pair of undies that just needs the leg and waistband treatment. All right, I'm going to go ahead and just press these side seams real quick. Next we'll be doing our waistband and leg opening. So the waistband actually has a pattern piece. So I took my stretch lace that I'm going to use. That's what I chose for this. And I went ahead and I cut that according to that pattern piece. Okay, that's how I knew how long to make the lace. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to the sewing machine and overlap this just a little bit, and I'm going to sew that together right there, right there. So I sewed that together in the back, just lopped it over and edge stitched it. All right, so what I'm going to do now is quarter this and place it onto the waistband. All right, so what I'm going to do is go ahead and mark my quarters on both the waistband and the panty. Similar to how we do a neckline, knit neckline. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and quarter this. The side, we can use the side seams, and then go ahead and find the center front. And the center back. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and pin this on there. The place where we stitched it is going to go on the center back. And how I'm going to do this is I'm going to place it so that it's just about halfway onto this elastic. Like that. And we're going to go all the way around. All the way around. So as you can see, I have it all pinned on there, and half of it is sticking out past it. From this point, you can either go to the sewing machine or the cover stitch. If you go to the sewing machine, you're going to sew one line here down close to where the scalloping starts, and another line up here close to the edge. You're going to want to do that with a stretch stitch, okay? Because this is going to get a lot of wear and tear. So if you do have a cover stitch, that is better. So that's exactly what I'm going to do, is take this to the cover stitch machine and just stitch this lace on. All right, so now I have the waistband attached, and I'm going to go ahead and attach the leg. And I'm going to basically do the same thing, but this time when I'm stitching, I'm going to use just a zigzag here, and I'm going to go ahead and probably start here so that that little seam or whatever is on the outside and not on the inside of your leg. And what I'm going to do is stitch it that way and then turn it and stitch it that way. So just that little bit of peekaboo lace comes out. All right, so I did go ahead and sew the picot trim on just sort of upside down like that. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and fold that over. I'm going to give it a good press, and then I'm going to go ahead and either cover stitch or top stitch with a zigzag just right around this leg opening with it sticking out that way. But first, a good press. All right, now I have a very good pair of undies that I will wear and wear and wear, and I didn't spend a dime except for trims that I have on hand all the time. So I think the key to this is having the stuff available to you, the laces and things, so that when you have scraps, if you need a pair of underwear, you just make one up. And that is the Fierce Underwear by Patterns for Pirates. Next, we're going to go ahead and do the Sinclair Kiki. Before we get to the Kiki underwear, just a word about the Fierce Undies. And you saw that was a lightweight cotton jersey. I feel that the Fierce underwear is better with the more lightweight fabrics. So if you kind of keep that in mind when you're picking what scraps to use for that. It's an everyday underwear, like every day, every day, every day. Very comfortable, and you can of course get it to fit your body, and then you've got a template that you can do over and over and over again. So very, very great pattern. So now I'm going to take you and show you the Kiki underwear construction. As we join this recording, I have already attached the gusset to the front and the back. And basically, it's going to be exactly the way we did it in the first video. However, when we make that sandwich of the front and the back between, we may have to kind of burrito roll it or twist it around so that you can sew that inside. Super easy though, and it's a fixed gusset, so that's what makes it a little bit different. All right, so here we go. Okay, now you have actually the entire bottom constructed, minus the leg bands and the waistband, or the contour waistband. Okay, we're just going to set that aside for a little bit. Now, we're going to take the contoured waistband. There's going to be two of them, a lining and an outside. So we're just going to work on the outside right now. All right, so I have pinned here a piece of power net. I don't have to stretch this, make it smaller or anything. It will help hold that tummy in just as it is. Maybe just make sure it's nice and flat when you put it on. Now, notice it kind of stretched beyond the thing, but you can go ahead and cut that down later. Okay? If you have a little spray adhesive that's temporary or wash out, I don't have any at the moment, but it probably would be helpful to just give that a shot for your power knit. Okay, now I'm going to take the back side of the outside waistband, right side up, and I'm going to go ahead and put these together for a seam. Do the side seams on these. Okay, line it up with the waistband, not the power net, okay? Because we're going to be trimming that power net away. Any excess, that is. Okay. This power net will put a tummy control band in there. That will be oh so helpful. And I'm making a neutral pair here that I can wear with just about anything. Basically thinking about my white pants at the moment. So if you do a natural color under your white pants, it shows up actually less than white. So it's much better to have neutral under white pants. All right. So that's the outside waistband. Now the inner waistband, the lining, so to speak, I'm going to go ahead and pin those together as well, because we might as well make that time at the serger worth it. I'm going to the serger and I'm going to sew these side seams on the outside and the lining. So here is your waistband ready to apply, and I went ahead and sewed the leg bands together, right sides together, and pressed them. Okay, So now you take the rest of the panty, and first we're going to do the waistband, all right? So what we're going to do is quarter them. So you know how we do with knit neck bands or bottom bands of a, like the Serenity sweater or something like that. All right, so what we're going to do is mark the quarter points. All right, so we can do that by just lining the side seams together to find the center back and the center front. Center back, center front. Center front, center back, and then we can match them on the sides. We'll do that here as well. Just pull your side seams together. And you can mark center front, and center back. All right. Now what you're going to do is you're going to flip this inside out. And we're going to put this inside. And line up the points. Okay, this is center front, and the front is where I have the power net. So I'm going to match up these 2 points. And at this point, it's better to switch to clips. All right, match up the side seams. When I match side seams of anything knit like this or sleeves or anything, I go and rather than lining this up, you want the part that's actually on the outside to do the lining up. So I make sure that that lines up exactly, and then I pin it just like that. Actually, you can pin this one, but well, I do that just for demonstration purposes. I usually just clip it, but I think it might be more secure for you if you pin it and take it out at the last minute. Center back. The back is the biggest part. It's got room for your junk in the trunk. If you like videos like this, please give me a thumbs up. And maybe a subscribe if you aren't subscribed already. All right, and the other side seam. Line up the seam itself. It's nice when they line up. It's not a big deal if they're off a little bit, especially on underwear, but it is really nice and exciting when it does line up perfectly. Okay, now you're just going to serge this or sew it with a narrow zigzag, either one, but I'm going to serge it, and that will be, it'll end up like this. And it will be the top of your panties done. So I have applied the waistband and pressed it, and now we're ready for the leg bands. So what we need to do is, we've already sewn them together, so we're going to go ahead and put the wrong sides together, fold it in half, and give that a press. Once it's pressed, you're going to go ahead and quarter it just like you do with a neckband. So you're just going to find the center back. Not center back. You're just going to find the halfway point and then the quarter points. All right. Then you're going to do the same thing with the leg. You're going to find the halfway. And the quarter point. So then you take your leg band and you start at the side seam, because you don't want any bulk in the crotch area. So right sides together, you just clip those together. Put those seams together like I showed you before. Then they'll line up nice. And then you're going to take this either to your serger or sewing machine, and it just depends on how you want to finish it. Serger's better if you have one, just because it ultimately stretches the best, and you don't want to put stress and strain on your fabric every time you take them on and off. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and sew this leg on and do the same with the other one. And after that, we'll give it a good press and you'll have a pair of underwear. All right, I put the leg bands on and gave it a press, and I have a really, really nice pair of control top panties, which is awesome. And how much did I spend on these? Very, very little. These are scraps, or either scraps or like a half a yard from Girl Charlee when the fabric is on sale. I do that sometimes. But for the most part, they are scraps and a little elastic. That's it. Cost me next to nothing. So, yeah, I love these. So that pair was the Kiki Underwear from Sinclair. A very great pattern. I can see between these two patterns, I have everything I need for my daily underwear. So I hope that you can find a combination of patterns that works well for you also. All right, don't forget to check the description for the supplies that you need for underwear. And also want to invite you to join our Facebook group, just in case you haven't done that yet. And happy sewing. Bye-bye.